Let's go! How's it going, Mets and overall baseball fans? Guys, the amount, see the veins popping out of my head? I was literally playing video games with my buddy, and apparently, my buddy was telling me, your brother's calling us. I'm like, don't worry about it. We're worried about the game right now. And then once our game ends, he's like, yeah, he's trying to FaceTime you. Apparently, the Mets signed someone called Senga, and he's not a baseball fan. I'm like, what? Well, of course it happens. The one time I'm not on my damn computer. But we're here. We're 20 minutes late. I do not give a damn. Everything was set up. The Mets get their man. They get Kodai Senga on a 5-year, $75 million deal with an opt-out that allows him to be a free agent after the 2025 season. The Mets rotation is set. How's it going? I know it's late night. My God. Wow. Wow. I guess I can't be that surprised that they went out and did this deal late at night. We've seen the Mets do moves at crazy times during the day and at night, but no less, the Mets, they get their guy. They get Kodai. How we feeling, baby? I got a lot to say on Senga aside from what I already have, but more than anything, shout out to every single one of my Mets fans live and especially on replay, because I know a lot of people are going to be watching this on replay. It's a late night. It's almost midnight here, December 10th, soon to be December 11th. The Mets signed the coveted pitcher from the MPB. They beat the Padres. They beat the Cubs. They beat the Red Sox. They beat every team for the most coveted Japanese pitcher out there on the available market. Mets just solidified their rotation. How we feeling, Mets fans? Get hype in the chat. Smash that like and subscribe button. You know the deal. Also, of course, help us get a 20K subs because we're going to be giving away a Justin Verlander jersey. Or now that we got Senga, I'll leave it up to you guys. If you guys want Verlander, great. Or if you want a Senga jersey, I'll do a giveaway of that instead to one lucky subscriber. So all you gotta do is smash those buttons, get some hype in the chat, help us get, of course, to a couple hundred likes for the first short-term goal in the chat, guys. Wow, I'm so pumped. The Mets got Senga. This helps them with their pursuit of Shohei Ohtani at the trade deadline, or, of course, next offseason if he's not dealt during midseason. I'm going to get a donations, but more than anything, how we feeling? The Mets said we're going $400 million with including the luxury tax for next season. They do not give a rat's ass, folks. They get it done. They get their guy, and I'm electric. Shout out every single one of you beauties here in the chat, all my people on the East Coast that are like, oh my God, it's tired. What just happened? Oh, Kodai Senga. That's just what happened. Man, this feels good. This feels great. I am absolutely juiced up, baby. I was saying it from the beginning. I did not, when the Mets were originally scouting Kodai Senga, I did not think, I mean this wholeheartedly, I did not think that they were going to land him. I thought that he was going to go somewhere else, especially out west. I thought the Padres were locked to land Kodai. That is not the case. However, the Mets get their guy. I love that it's a 5-year deal, and there's an opt-out a couple of years from now. It's perfect. It's perfect for this Mets team. Senga has at least hopefully number 3 potential, if not number 2 or ace at his absolute peak in his career. We'll see how he pans out at the MLB level. We're going to be breaking down everything you need to know about his game, guys, but I do want to let you all know, to my roughly 1,000 viewers here in the live show, of course, that today's show is brought to you by BetOnline. BetOnline is your number 1 source for all your sports betting needs. So make sure you head over to betonline.ag using promo code Bleav at BLEAV. That way get yourself a 50% off welcome bonus. BetOnline, it's where the games begin. And now, folks, let's let the show begin. They get their guy. Oh, now the Mets, they can focus a little bit more on the bullpen, hopefully add at least one solid bat to this offense. Something of slugging power would be preferred. But more than anything, the Mets just rounded out a rotation that was completely gone entering the offseason. Chris Bassett's not returning. We know that. Taijuan Walker's a Philadelphia Philly. Trevor Williams, who's a swing man, just signed with the Nationals on a 2-year, $15 or so million deal. Good for Trev. But now, with all these uncertainties with the rotation, the Mets just got their guy, and now they have all the flexibility in the world for the remainder of their offseason to get creative with continuing to add to this bullpen, to add some offense, hopefully. Maybe they're going to make some trades happen. We have a lot to get into this offseason, but it's December 10th, and the Mets just made the biggest moves imaginable for this team that we don't have to worry about heading into, say, late January, that, are they going to round out their rotation? Are the Mets, are they going to go do this? The Mets, as things stand right now, are in a very good spot for next season, and they're still not done with their moves. They're going to round out that bullpen. Hopefully they add at least one more bat for this lineup. As much as I love the idea of banking on the kids, it doesn't hurt to add a bat as well. All I'm trying to say is the Mets literally got the most difficult part of the offseason handled just in a week and a half span time, from winter meetings to now, guys. A week's time, really, because winter meetings started this week. The Mets got all the nit and gritty done this week. It's insane. Or just over a week. You know what I'm saying. No less, let me get some donos. Make sure to smash that like and subscribe on, folks. I have a lot to say about Kodai Senga and his game. What are the pros? What are the cons? How excited should we be as Mets fans for people who don't have a clue who Kodai Senga is? That's what I'm going to be getting into. Again, guys, for people just chiming in, Kodai Senga has signed a 5-year, $75 million deal, a $15 million AAV. That's cheaper than what I was initially expecting. So I'm very happy about this deal. I thought Kodai was going to be getting north of $20 million per year, even with those uncertainties, just because how expensive this pitching market was. But Mets get their guy, folks. We love to see it. P.S. Sorry for the long message. I can't effing believe it. Now the biggest thing I've been hearing now is trade for Devers. Do you think we should do that or keep it with Beatty and Escobar? I don't think Devers is going to be dealt anytime soon. I think if he is traded, it'll be around the trade deadline if they can't extend a new contract to him, and if they feel that, okay, there's no chance that they can bring Devers back, that being in the Red Sox. So Devers, I think, is a pipe dream. We can talk about him more if further, reports and rumors come out regarding him. But in the time being, I think the Mets, as of now, are going to go with Escobar and Beatty, 20 things there at third until proven otherwise. Thank you for the dono, though. I appreciate that. Hype in the chat to you, brother. But guys, Mets get their guy, baby. Oh, so good. Shout out to me. I had the stream array set up, had the highlights, so we were ready to roll. I knew that the next move for the Mets would be Senga. It was just a matter of when. It was very quiet yesterday, and normally when things are a little quiet, you could expect a deal soon. Mets did that, but they just were like, you know what? We're going to do it around midnight here on this Saturday, for all the Mets fans sleeping early. I was not sleeping early, but I was aside playing video games. I'm like, it's a Saturday night. I don't think the Mets are going to do anything tonight. I did not leave the house this weekend. I didn't expect to, at least, because I figured moves would happen. I'm glad I was at least, literally just a couple feet away from my setup, because again, I don't know, 20 minutes late to this, that's like absurd. You guys know I'm always on the money. Ken Rosenthal broke it. No, Andy Martino did. And want to know why I didn't know initially? It's because Andy Martino has me blocked, so I couldn't even see his notification if I wanted to. But I see spam on my phone of endless phone calls, endless texts. Go live, go live, go live. And I'm like, what are you talking about? It's Kodai Senga. That's what we're talking about. Uncle Stevie has graduated to Daddy Stevie. That's hilarious. Thank you for that donation, my man. And guys, give me 1 second. I'm going to try to calm down a little bit. Again, my anxiety comes in ebbs and flows, so I just want to make sure I'm okay for the stream. But again, I'm so pumped. This is the most juiced. Oh my God. Justin Verlander, Max Scherzer, Kodai Senga, that's your 1, 2, 3 to start the 2023 season. Sign me up. Want to thank Jacob deGrom and Texas Rangers for pissing off Steve Cohen. Yeah, it's like the Steven Matz situation to an extent. I know that Cohen was not happy about Jake ultimately not returning, so it's great to see the Mets do that there. Ooh, that was a nice neck crack. All right, let's see. Kevin, thank you so much for the donation. Thank you for the $2 holla. Appreciate you guys. Again, to my 1,200 viewers, help us get to 500 likes for our short-term goal here in the live stream, and thank you guys all so much in advance. Breaking news, the Mets have signed coveted Japanese star pitcher who's pitched 11 seasons in the MPB, that being in Kodai Senga. Now makes his MLB debut, his actual debut to the States at 5 years, $75 million. Thank you so much for the dono, Walter. One thing I want to add, everybody, guys, is for all the people, and let me get some water here. For all the people that have talked down on Billy Epler, and again, I agree, Billy Epler absolutely stunk at the trade deadline. There's no denying that. Billy Epler was a massive factor into landing Kodai Senga. Epler has spent extensive time scouting this guy overseas, just like what he did with Shohei Ohtani up until his inevitable arrival, with the Angels during his time as GM there, okay? He loves players over from Japan. And the early belief, what I was told from industry sources, is that while nothing is guaranteed, the Mets love Senga. Billy Epler is enamored with this guy. We saw Epler literally the other day talking to the media in winter meetings finales with a big smile on his face saying that, yeah, Kodai Senga, he's a very talented pitcher. And he was asked furthermore on Kodai Senga. He said, yeah, he's a very, very talented pitcher. I've never seen Billy Epler speak in such positivity. I don't even know how to explain it. Epler is a guy that you normally cannot read well at all. He always says one thing and the other at the same time when he's talking to the media regarding players that they're potentially pursuing. So you have no clue exactly what exactly they're going to do. But just the fact that he complimented him and he heard Buck say how much Senga looks like a great talent, it's just a matter of how will he transition to the MLB level. This almost felt inevitable, guys. It really did. I was mostly concerned about the Padres, but at the same time, like the Mets have such a gaping hole there at number 3. Senga just makes so much sense for this team. And again, whether Senga does or not perform to the caliber that you hope to be at minimum a number 3, if not a higher degree of a starter in this rotation over the next couple of years, that is yet to be seen. But I love that this is a 5-year deal. It's not a 6, not a 7-year deal. There's opt out after 2 years. So if Kodai comes into Queens and absolutely balls out the way that we hope he does, then he will have the decision, may opt out in 2 years, and the Mets will hopefully return him, just like they just returned Brett and Nimmo, for instance. But this is just a great move for the New York Mets. And again, they checked off all the massive boxes that they needed to do this offseason with bringing back internal free agents and landing external free agents. They did exactly what they needed to do. And we have Billy Epler and Steve Cohen at the tippity top of the list to thank endlessly for what they have done for this Metropolitan team, especially Steve Cohen. Billy would not be where he is right now if it isn't for Steve's endless bags. Let's be honest here. Dave, thank you for the dono. 5 years, $75 million. Yeah, baby. You said it, brother. Thank you so much for that one. Let me get a poll here in the live stream for you guys. I want to see how you're feeling about Kodai Senga landing with the Metropolitans, baby. Let me see how you're feeling, if you're in favor, against the steal, stuff like that. But yeah, I just want to know your raw reactions to my 1,400 viewers. Thank you guys all so much for chiming in. Again, continue smashing that like and subscribe on. Once we hit 20K subs, we're less than 500 away, folks. The largest Mets platform here on YouTube, not directly affiliated with the Mets or SNY. We are doing a big jersey giveaway. It'll be Justin Verlander or Kodai Senga, whichever player you prefer, to the one lucky winner on the channel that ends up winning said jersey once we hit 20K. So continue smashing those buttons. But I want to know what your thoughts are on the Senga sign, so I'm going to put a poll up. Give me 1 second, everybody. I gave you 3 options in the poll. I think that's fair because I find myself in the middle to high degree. I love the deal, but at the same time, with a guy that, again, has not pitched at the MLB level, of course they have cautious optimism. It's the same thing that goes with Justin Verlander, for the sole fact that JV, yes, he just won a Cy Young, but he's also at the age of 40. What's his workload going to be like? How are the Mets going to manage him? How healthy is he going to be? You know, with the Mets giving 43 and a half or so mil for a couple of years to both him and Mad Max, the exact same record-breaking deals at the top of the rotation. Now they land a guy on a $75 million deal if it fully pans out. And again, if Senga balls out the next couple of years, then he's probably going to opt out after the 2 years, with how much his market is drastically increasing when it comes to pitching talent price-wise. But no, I'm just so happy about this deal. I really am. Kevin, thank you for the dono. Appreciate that. Let's see how you're feeling, guys. Hey, Lavelle, thank you so much for the dono. I appreciate that. What up, Tyler? Hope you and your family are doing well. We're doing fantastic, my man. Hoping the same for you. He says, thank you, Steve Cohen, for seeing the potential this team has. Senga is a great addition to this team. LFGM, baby. You said it, brother. Thank you so much again for that donation. Hope you and your family are doing great as always, too. But guys, before I get to some more donations, let's talk quickly about Kodai Senga. You see his stat line there. We talked about him extensively since it was first reported, from that being in, who originally reported that I saw of Mets Rise? Michael Mayer. This was probably at least a month ago, right? Or close to. That the Mets were scouting both Kodai Senga and Masataka Yoshida from the MPB. Senga, the coveted pitcher at age 29, flame-throwing right-hander. I think he's, 6'4", at least 6'5". He's a tall guy. And again, flame-throwing, sitting mid to high 90s with the fastball. Touched a 101 in his start back in May for his team over there in the MPB, and he has that nasty ghost forkball, which is like a ridiculous splitter, and a nice slider. So he's a guy where, when you look at the upside with Kodai Senga, let's talk briefly about this before I get into more donations and just sharing raw reactions. The upside of Kodai Senga, he has all the tools to be a potential elite talent at the MLB level. He's had a ridiculous swing and miss rate that he's seen over there in the MPB. What have been some of the concerns, however, with Kodai Senga? Well, one, it's his walk rate. It has been up and down in his career. You'd have to hope at least, and the same way that the Mets signing David Robertson is an Ottavino 2.0 situation. Ottavino, when he signed with the Mets as a reliever, had around a 4 ERA the previous season in which he was in Boston. Now, of course, he had a great walk rate this past year. Jeremy Hefner got him right, and hopefully the Mets can do the same with David Robertson, who had a 5 walks per 9 this past year's playing time with both the Cubs and the Phillies, even though he still had a 2.40 ERA because his strikeouts were through the roof. He's in the 99th percentile in spin rate, that being in David Robertson. But now you talk about Kodai Senga, right? How much is he going to thrive in Queens? Different environment. We know what I'm curious how the weather is going to impact a pitcher like him as well. Again, colder climate to start the year, colder climate when you get into postseason. How's that going to impact him and his velo, his comfortability? Germany Hefner, the guys that the Mets have been hiring, Yeagers, who is originally from the Reds, and Driveline. The Mets have so many people invested into the analytics part of this staff. And I think it's going to do wonders for someone like Senga, hopefully adjusting properly to the MLB level. But again, concerns, a guy, he's never pitched in the States. He's never pitched MLB talent. Yes, he's pitched former MLB players over there in the MPB, but not current MLB status players. There's definitely going to be adjustments. The baseballs are different that we know from the MPB in Japan all the way over here to the States, especially in Queens. And we know that the MLB has 3 different baseballs that they're rotating year round. If you don't believe me, go look it up. It's true. They change the baseballs multiple times a season. That'll either help or not help the likes of a pitcher. And more often than not, it's not going to help the pitcher, actually, because all the MLB wants to do is inflate the baseballs to an extent. Even though they cut them down, they want home run rates to be up because they know that's what's going to get things really going for the fan experience and the money that teams are making, even though it does hurt owners when it comes to players in the union that are going to be getting more money because home run ball is so expensive when it comes to free agency. Not trying to get on a tangent here. My point is that there are a lot of factors to be in favor of this, and again, cautiously optimistic. But the hope here with Kodai Senga at the young age of 29, a towering right-hander with elite stuff, at least at the MPB level, is that he's going to come in, he will transition hopefully smoothly. And again, even if Senga's first year with the Mets is a 3.5+ ERA, I'm going to be the last guy to complain here. Again, we don't know what he's going to bring you at the MLB level. All we can hope is that he performs to what we hope. The first year, 3.5 ERA. I'm not setting the bar to like a 2.5. If Senga pitches between a 3.5, 3.75 ERA, I think that is manageable, not only for a number 3, but for a guy that's just getting his career started at the MLB level. This is, what we're seeing here is, Masahiro Tanaka 2.0, the next big pitcher to come from Japan, to come over now to not only the States, but that being the East Coast, especially New York, this time not the Bronx, but Flushing, Queens. So I have a lot of excitement, cautious optimism for sure, but Kodai Senga is a guy that the Mets viewed so highly as soon as he was available as a free agent. And the beauty about signing someone like him is when you look at the expensive pitching market, the upside with Kodai Senga is through the roof. You see Taijuan Walker get 4 years, $72 million with the Phillies. We know what to expect with Taijuan Walker. Kodai's such an uncertainty, and that comes into play when you land someone like him. I think the Mets are just so enamored with the idea of Senga coming in and potentially being the next big thing in Queens. And let's not forget, you land Senga, this helps your pursuit of Shohei Ohtani, which for anyone that don't think the Mets will be just as in it as any other top team in baseball for Ohtani, once he's either a free agent, if not the trade deadline for the Angels, trust me, Steve Cohen wants Ohtani more than anyone else in Queens, right? I mean, I shouldn't say more than anyone else, but he has the money and the Mets do have the assets here. So now that by landing Senga, you help diversify the market for fans, right? You're going to see a large influx of Asian, especially Japanese descent entering Queens. It's going to be a very exciting atmosphere. I referenced it plenty, but I'll say it again. It reminds me of last season when I went to a Mets game against the Blue Jays. It was Korean night. It was in July, I believe, and Hyunjin Ryu, the southpaw, was on the mound for Toronto. The entire, and I can't emphasize this enough, the entire visitors section was filled of Asian or specifically Korean descent. And it was very cool to see. And you know that by bringing in Senga, it's not only going to diversify the market, in which Flushing, Queens is the hub, especially for Asian people. I can only imagine what this can potentially do in helping to work wonders and bringing in a potential Shohei Ohtani at most a year from now. But all in all, I'm beyond ecstatic. I'm so happy that the Mets got this deal done for the flame-throwing southpaw who is just getting his MLB career started. Who knows? He may just be the next big thing in Queens, guys. He may just be. We'll see what happens, but I'm very, very excited and, of course, cautiously optimistic about this acquisition. Edwin, thank you for the dono. Let me get some water here, guys. Again, like I said, I'm all over the place right now, so bear with me. And guys, continue smashing that like and subscribe as you're just chiming in. We're breaking down the nitty gritty, everything you need to know about Kodai Senga landing with the New York Mets on a 5-year, $75 million deal with an opt-out that allows him to be a free agent after the 2025 season, should he wish. Edwin with the $20 donation here says, I Bleav that 2023 is going to be a challenge to those teams that will play against the Mets. We are rolling down the 7 line, baby. You said it. Shout out the 7 line as always. I'm anxious for the season to start, Ray. You and I both, brother. You and I both. Thank you so much for the dono. I appreciate that. CD, thank you so much for the dono. He says, even though I want the money for Ohtani next offseason, am I nuts for saying getting Correa to play third, make the Mets dominant? You're not nuts for saying that. I just don't foresee it happening. I don't think the Mets are nearly in the Correa market like others. I'm sure they've at least called, because I know that Billy did state that the Mets have talked with the infield market and free agency. We just don't know to what degree. I would be shocked beyond belief if the Mets landed Correa, and I don't expect it. I think the biggest factor why I don't expect it isn't only because Correa is likely going to stay at shortstop wherever he lands, but more than anything, you can tell the Mets, they're having a $400 million payroll next year already, including taxes, and they're not even done with the spending and the moves they're making this offseason. The Mets do not want to shell out another big contract, more than likely, of a Correa type until next offseason when Shohei Ohtani is going to be available. The year after that, assuming that he doesn't sign an extension with the San Diego Padres, Juan Soto will be available. Okay, so the Mets are thinking big in the future. They're focused on winning now, but they're also focused on the next couple years and what top talents are going to be available then, about having continued success as a New York Metropolitan team. So for all those reasons, I do not see Correa happening. I don't get me wrong. I would be just as happy as the next guy if he came here and he put him at third base, but I would be just as surprised as any other normal diehard Mets fan should that happen. Thank you for the donation. Let's see. Dave, thank you for the dono. Sending you email about saying I'm sending you a Christmas gift. Oh, you're too kind, Dave. Love you, brother. Thank you so much. I'll make sure to check my emails because I'm behind on all of them, and I'm not even lying. Thank you so much for that, my man. Hype in the chat to you. Love you, brother. Hype in the chat to Dave. This is huge. Absolutely, Isaac LGM. Thank you so much for the dono, my man. Yes, Mets made a Matt. Man, oh man, I'm so pumped, but I'm just like, this is one of the few times where I've been caught off guard by the Mets as to when a move of significance happened. And shame on me for letting my guard down. I'm usually so good on staying on top of this. Again, I literally have like 10 different streams set up as we speak for different potential signings. Senga I've had set up for at least 2 weeks. Okay. I've been ready for Senga, and I even had all the graphics ready to go. Like, I didn't have anything else there. I was ready for this. But even then, I'm just like, just the fact that it was like 20 minutes and then I find out baffles me. It almost pisses me off because I like to stay on point with this best I can, but it doesn't matter when we're covering it now. And I know a lot of people aren't even going to be watching the show until on replay. So I hope you guys, again, are as excited as I am, because this is a guy that I have been so in love with, learning more about Senga and his game, the potential of what he can do at the MLB level. And just like that, the Mets go from a rotation last season, Jacob deGrom, when healthy. So let's put Jake out of the equation for a minute last season, guys, because Jake wasn't back until down the stretch, until the final, quarter of the season, right? The Mets, for the most part, had Max Scherzer, Chris Bassett, Taijuan Walker, Carlos Carrasco, David Pearson, Tyler McGill as their starters last year. Now, as of now, they entered the 2023 season. Justin Verlander, Max Scherzer, Kodai Senga, Jose Quintana, who had the best ERA of his career at the age of 33, has pitched more innings per season than any other starting pitcher in baseball since 2014, and led all MLB pitchers in 2022 with a 0.435 or so home run per nine. So he does not give up the long ball much at all. He's your number 4, who the Mets actually signed as an international free agent at the age of 16, never played a game with the Mets. Very similar situation to Nelson Cruz. Yeah, the Mets had Nelson Cruz, little do you guys know, back in the day. Never played with the Mets, obviously. And then your number 5 star is Carlos Carrasco, David Pearson, Tyler McGill. I think that this opens the door for the Mets to potentially have Carlos Carrasco traded, because I've heard rumblings of that, and there will be teams desperate for pitching. And with the Mets having both Peterson and McGill on the back end of things, not even in the rotation sites, I could definitely see a world where they potentially part with Carrasco and want to get interesting with Peterson, McGill. But I could also see them keep Cookie. They just want to have as much depth as humanly possible. But Cookie's the wild card now, I would say. I've heard rumblings about him being dealt. I've heard rumblings that the Mets were trying to trade Cookie prior to taking his team option when free agency first started. So very interesting situation with Carrasco. But point being is that the Mets rotation is going to be just as good, if not better, than last year, hopefully. And let's not forget, the Mets, Jake was out for the majority of the year. If Justin Verlander can do what he did last season, hopefully pitching between 25 and 30 starts, hopefully you can get Max without an oblique injury, hopefully giving you at least 25 starts. Kodai Senga, hopefully the same thing. As long as these guys can stay relatively healthy, this rotation has more potential than last year. Even when Jake was out, the Mets had one of the better rotations of baseball. They were consistent as all heck. So I'm just for that. The idea of this starting staff potentially being even better than next season. Might not be better with pure talent than what we saw last year, but the upside, you can argue, is better potentially for this upcoming season. And I just love the fact that the Mets have Bulldogs in this lineup now, rotation-wise. JV and Quintana have consistently been pitching north of 30 games every single season their entire career, as long as they've been available. As long as health has not been the issue, they have been eating those innings and taking those starts very well. Let's see, Swiss, thank you for the donor. How you doing, my man? Being a live show at midnight. This is why you're number one, and this is why I love you, K Swiss. Thank you so much for the kind words, brother. Appreciate you being in here. Hope you're doing well. Let's see, Swiss. If I'm not mistaken, aren't you the one that I gave the Max Scherzer bobblehead to? Didn't you win the last giveaway? I could be wrong, but that name looks way too familiar. I think I might be right there. If so, hope the Scherzer bobblehead has treated you well. Keto, thank you for the $2 donation. Again, speaking of giveaways, we're doing a Justin Verlander or Kodai Senga jersey giveaway once we hit 20,000 subscribers. So continue to smash those buttons, folks, for the most consistent Mets content here on YouTube, all ran by me, myself, and I. I've been loving doing everything here on the channel. You guys make it so worth it. So seriously, thank you all for the endless support. Give me 1 second, everybody. Robert says, I've been a Met fan since birth. In my 36 years, I've never seen an owner spend like this. Uncle Steve is a true Met fan. Is this real life, LFGM? Who would have thought just 2 measly years ago that the Mets would have an owner that spent, including taxes, that the MLB put a tax in place because of said owner, $400+ million entering a season when he's not even done spending? Like, could you have ever fathomed that positive? That's what you literally dream of. You dream of it, then you wake up and you're like, oh shit, I woke up. The Wilpons are still here. No, they're not here. Steve Cohen's here. And that's why we love this man. That's why Steve Cohen I have framed on my wall with all the newspapers when he first signed the Mets. That's just out of frame right now from what you guys see. We love Uncle Stevie. Thank you so much for that donation, Robert. Are you kidding me? Let's fucking go, says Dope Man. That's fine. Blindbeard, thank you for the donation. Why is this deal so cheap? Because Senga's an uncertainty. I think that's the biggest reason why. He has endless potential, but he's an uncertainty at the MLB level, and that benefited the Mets. The Mets just got Kodai Senga for Taijuan Walker money with an additional year. And yes, there's the opt-out after 2 years. We know that. But think about it. Who do you want right now? Kodai Senga or Taijuan Walker? When you're talking about potential, price per contract, AEV, I'm taking Kodai every day of the week because you know that the potential with him is through the roof. And with Ty, I love Taijuan Walker. Wish him all the best. He still has major flaws in his game that we're aware of. Walk rate, home run rate, things to keep in mind. And he's someone that now in the batter's box in Philly, he may thrive, but he also may get absolutely cooked. We'll see how that contract ages. But if I'm looking for a guy, again, not even 30 yet, to have a lot of upside, Kodai's that guy. He really is. Putting all bias aside, I was raving about him as soon as I found out that he was hitting the MLB level. Learned quite a bit about him, and I'm again very excited to see what he's going to do with this Mets team. Better if we got Rodon than this guy. Rodon's looking for a $30 million AAV deal over 7 years. I love Rodon, but there's obvious reasons as to why it's not happening, and that's something where I think will benefit the Mets in the end. Rodon's only been healthy for one true season. He was somewhat healthy in his final year with the White Sox, but velo dropped by over 5 miles per hour in the second half of his 2021 season with the White Sox and struggled with some fatigue. There were some things going on there. So Rodon's amazing, beautiful southpaw, but he's a big uncertainty too with his health. And if for a guy looking for a 7-year deal, let him go to the Yanks. Let him go wherever he's going to go, and then we'll see down the road how he went and how he performed. Angel, thank you for the dono. The opt-out is after 3 years. Oh, my mistake. Okay, if that's the case, then the opt-out's after 3 years, not 2. I thought it was after 2, but if it's after 3 years, I'm perfectly fine with that as well. Whenever the opt-out is, it's perfectly fine, is what I'm trying to say. Do you want to change the GOAT membership name? Yes, I do, Angel. I just haven't gone around to it. I will. I'll change it to something fun. Might do Finding Nemo. Someone said that, and I think that's a great idea for, the next long-term Met and fan favorite that you could argue that we've seen since a guy like David Wright. Like, seriously, they have a lot of similarities in who they are as people, phenomenal players, and hopefully for Nemo's sake, he can stay healthier in the second term of that contract. Angel, thank you for the donation. Let's see here. Wardy, we were right about this move, and I'm pumped, baby. LFGM, but what's next in your opinion? I've been hearing JD Martinez. I would be a little surprised if the Mets get Martinez because he had a piss poor second half of the season, dealt with some serious back injuries, and is only a DH. You're not going to put him in the outfield or anything like that. So while I could be wrong, I think there's a very realistic world where if the Mets land a bat, they make sure they land a bat that also can play the corner outfield, at least solid. And A.J. Pollock is a guy that pops in my mind more and more as the days pass to potential platoon and split time as either GH or split time with Mark Canha in the corner. Pollock had a 930 OPS against lefty pitchers rather, in the 2022 season with the White Sox. His biggest issue has been staying healthy throughout his entire career, though. So something to keep in mind. But I think the Mets would like some more defensive flexibility, versatility rather, with acquiring a bat. And A.J. Pollock certainly gives you that more than a standalone DH. Jim, thank you for the donut. I appreciate that. And he's just one of multiple bad options for the Mets. He's just a guy that pops in my mind that I know won't be astronomically expensive and definitely can make sense for the Mets as a DH, corner outfield, bench bat. Oh my goodness, I'm like 20 minutes behind the chat, guys. Bear with me. I'm trying to catch up. We got a lot of donos to get into. At least we don't have to watch Bassett melt down in big games. I mean, I love Bassett, but I get what you're saying, 1,200. I do. I think what's going to also hurt Seabass next season is now that there is a clock for your pitching. So, he can't be taking his dear sweet time anymore because you have the pitch clock. I think that will hurt a pitcher like Bassett, which I also think goes in hand with the Mets and how they operate. And that could be a slight factor into not wanting to bring Bassett back, along with the obvious. He's 33, 34. And he's looking for upwards of a 4-year deal, more than likely. I love Bassett. Wish him all the best wherever he goes, but I don't blame the Mets if they decide, they obviously decide here that they rather go for a guy with far more upside at just getting his MLB career started. Let's see. Thank you for the dono, DeGrom. Stop it, John. That's funny though. What's not to love? 5 years, 75 is a steal for this kind of talent. I tend to agree. A lot of upside here. We have to be having one of the best off seasons ever. The best part is we're still not done. And the Mets killed it last offseason too. The only thing the Mets didn't do right last offseason was by not landing a truly high leverage southpaw for the bullpen. They've already done that now in Brooks Raley, so you can't say they did. And they land David Robertson, who also is like a southpaw out there because he gets lefties out at a phenomenal rate. So Mets have done a great job already. They've back-to-back off seasons with Steve Cohen, and they've absolutely killed it in so many ways. If it's going to be a team, it's going to be the Mets, baby. And who knows, maybe they'll just get Ohtani next offseason, right? So the party's just getting started here in Queens. Do you think they trade Cookie now? I think there's a possibility they do. There's a possibility they do. And I think there's a stronger likelihood now just because there's teams that are desperate for pitching and would be in favor of landing Cookie on his contract at around, what is it, like 14 mil over that 1 year, 13 and a half, whatever it is. That's cheaper than a lot of pitchers that you'll see out there that give you Carlos Carrasco type production. So yeah, it's possible. I mean, Mets have Cookie as a number 5. They could use him and flip him somewhere else to either get him another solid bullpen piece, maybe help them get a bat that will help solidify this lineup more. We'll see. I love Cookie, but again, he's perfect as a number 5, but I'm not opposed if they trade him, if it's a deal that makes sense for the Mets, given the depth they currently have. Let's see. Senga mid. Yeah, that's me, quarter pounder. When you probably have never even seen Kodai Senga before, so it checks out. I think they should do a 6-man rotation. They could. They definitely could. It's not impossible. Especially with Justin Verlander and Scherzer. I'd be in favor of that to an extent to make sure those guys stay healthy. Do I think this helps their chances of Ohtani? Absolutely. After Senga, can Mets try for Shintaro Fujinami? I would love Shintaro Fujinami. I don't know if they're going to land Fujinami, but I definitely would be in favor of him for sure. Love Fujinami's talent, like 6'6", talent right-hander, similar arsenal to Senga, but is viewed to be a likely reliever, either a multi-inning reliever or a potential high leverage reliever at the MLB level. That's coming over from Japan. Thank you for the donut. I'm sure you probably mentioned him from the video I did on Fujinami. Let's see. Us Mets fans have waited for a Compton owner. We finally got someone who is just like us effing fans. Cohen and Epler are actually making us believe. Literally. Yes, 100%, Matthew. Thank you for that donation. Shout out to everyone for chiming in the live stream again. Again, breaking news, folks. If you're watching on replay, Mets have signed Kodai Senga, the coveted Japanese flamethrower right-hander from the MPB on a 5-year, 75. There we go, 7-5. It's midnight here. Bear with me. $75 million deal with an opt-out after the first couple years. Jesus. I'm all over the place. I don't care. I'm so happy. I love when the Mets do things I like. They've killed it. The Mets, I have zero complaints. Imagine an offseason where you lose Jacob deGrom and you do every proper move imaginable after losing Jake. They've done everything right. I love Brooks Raley. He's so good for this bullpen. Love it. David Robertson. Love it. Kodai Senga. Love it. Jose Quintana. Love it. Brandon Nimmo back. Love it. The list goes on and on. It's rare. It's rare that you see just bang, 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 bang. They just keep doing exactly what you would hope that they would do. Seriously. Enrique, thank you for the dono. Appreciate your long-term support, brother. I know you've been here for a while. Jay, thank you for the $50 holla. That means a lot. Shout out to you, Jay. Appreciate that. Love you, my man. I was saving a bottle of Yamasaki 18 for a special moment. The moment has arrived. Couldn't agree. Couldn't make more sense. Where you demand. Let's effing go Mets. Cheers. Cheers to you, brother. Enjoy that Yamazaki. That's awesome. If anyone has also like sake at their house or something, start taking shots. You especially know if you're at when you guys go to hibachi dinners and they do the sake when they literally spray it into your mouth. I wish I had that on me right now so I could do it like a freaking like the water like the water bottle you would have if you're playing a sport, especially hockey. That'd be hilarious. But yeah, shout out to you, my man. Thank you so much for that donation. Appreciate that. Check his height. He isn't tall. That's okay. I probably said 6'5" because I was thinking Shintaro Fujinami. Doesn't matter that he's not tall. He's still awesome. It's all that matters. He's 6 foot. Not complaining. Let's screw the Braves. Sign Swanson for second base. Who says no? I think the Mets say no, Dave, but I appreciate that donation. Dave's like, you know what? The Mets have done everything right this offseason. Let's just give it to the Braves. Let's do it. I love the optimism there, though. Appreciate that donation, my man. That cracks me up. That's a funny comment. Giants were in strong on Senga, lost out to Mets who have an outstanding rotation but are running up the tax bill. I don't give a rat's ass about the tax bill. You want to know why? Because neither does Steve Cohen. Thank you for the donation to media. Appreciate that. Let's go. Warrior rotation looks better than last year. Let's get creative with some bats during a trade, and we're set. Exactly. The Mets got the biggest things they need to do this offseason done already, guys. Done. This wasn't the case last offseason. I can tell you that much. Even though actually I shouldn't say that because pre-lockout, they did all their nitty gritty. Post-lockout, they didn't do nearly as much moves. So actually I shouldn't say that. But all in all, it's refreshing to know that the Mets got the main stuff down already. Details on the deal release. Yep, we discussed already. 5-year, $75 million deal and opt-out after the second or third season, one of the two. And again, thank you so much for the dono, media. Appreciate that. Let's get into the chat here a little bit further, guys. CD, thank you for the donation. And they can shed Carrasco and Escobar contracts. That would make Correa more affordable, especially if they get creative in deferring or backloading the money. Yeah, I mean, it's possible. I don't think it's going to happen personally, but I get what you're saying there. Deferred money definitely is where things get intriguing. I know that Edwin Diaz's contract has deferred money. Lindor's does too, I think. So it's not impossible, but not getting my hopes up on Correa. Jeremy, thank you for the donation. You think we're done with signings now? No, we're not done with signings. The Mets have more to do with the bullpen still, and they still could sign a bat, so if they don't trade for one. Mets are not done with moves, but they've gone their most important moves done, which is the biggest takeaway here.